So the idea of transitioning by stop seeing new patients really is not allowed under the contract, and you got to be careful with that. Delta has way deeper pockets than any dentist I know, and they're quite serious about any violation of their contract, and you do not want to be on the receiving end of legal action from Delta, because they have deeper pockets than you have. So sadly, the answer is no. And I think there's another reason why Delta does that, Naren, besides the fact that, if you're listed, if you're a member, then you've got to be able to see people that have that plan. But I think there's another reason. The other reason is you can't really transition out of Delta. It's like you're in or you're out. Which one is it, doc? And given that choice, most dentists that aren't listeners of the Less Insurance Dependence podcast will say, well, I guess I better stay in. They kind of take the path of least resistance. If there was an easy way to transition, I think you'd have a lot of dentists transitioning away from Delta. But it's pretty much jumping into the deep end. And I think Delta has that set up very specifically because of that, for sure. So sadly, the answer is no. But now I've got some really good news to report, and for all of our listeners. It's a core aspect of our coaching is helping dentists successfully reduce insurance dependence. That's a core element of our coaching, and it's something we deal with literally day in and day out. And I'm at the point today, and Naren, some of them are mutual clients, and so you see this through Equa. But I'm at the point today where every week a handful of our clients have completed the process. In other words, they have successfully resigned. And I'll keep using Delta for the example because that's what we're talking about here. They've successfully resigned from Delta, and we've gone a recall cycle plus. I'll explain that in a minute. So a recall cycle plus after resigning, so that we can record and document how many existing in-network patients we've lost. So we typically do a debrief meeting. I do a debriefing meeting with our clients about 8 or 9 months after we've completed the process of resigning from Delta. And the reason for that is we all know that a recall cycle is 6 months. If we're healthy adults, it's 6 months. But we also know that patients aren't fastidious about staying exactly on a 6-month plan. 6 months could be 7, 7.5, 8 months, could become even longer. But we wait for 8 or 9 months because we think it gives us a really accurate count. Most of the patients, our faithful patients will, be revisiting the office within that time period. And then we can track how many of our existing in-network patients do we lose. Does that make sense, Naren? As I explain that timing after resigning, that we wait till we do the debrief until we've been through that timing.
Yeah, absolutely, Gary. It does make sense. I mean, you and I have gone through this. Of course, I get to get a front row seat as you help your clients. I mean, our mutual clients. So absolutely, it makes sense, Gary.
And my clients come to that meeting prepared with data. Remember, data doesn't lie. People lie, but data never lies.
Yes.
So they come to the meeting with data, and we look at how many of your existing in-network patients do we lose. And by the way, we have a baseline starting with, we know how many active patients that we had when we started the process, so we can simply do the math to figure out what percent. And every single time, Darren, I do those debriefs. Remember, I'm doing a handful of those a week now because of the groundswell movement of dentists dropping PPO plans because they've had it. I'm doing a handful of those a week, and every single time, without exception, my client will say, Gary, I lost fewer patients than I thought. I thought I'd lose more. I lost fewer than I thought. Look at this. You told me I would lose fewer. I wanted to believe you, but I had a concern. And now I have the data in front of me, and I lost fewer patients than I thought. And then I always conclude that debriefing meeting with the same question for every client. And that is, knowing what we've been through here, do you have any regrets? And every single time they give the same answer. The only regret I have, Gary, is I didn't do it sooner. I should have done this sooner. And so I hope that's encouraging to all of you that are sitting on the sidelines. I hope that's encouraging. That's our experience. Now, granted, we are quite fastidious about making sure we do all the prep, because we want to do all the prep so that we can have the best possible outcome. And one of the ways we measure the best possible outcome is what percent of our in-network patients did we keep. And as my clients are reporting, they kept way more than they thought. They thought they'd lose more. So it's kind of those meetings I love doing. We do them virtually, we do them by Zoom. And when I see those on my schedule, there's a handful every week on my schedule. And when I see those, it just makes my heart happy because I know what's going to. I know it's like Naren. I'll talk popular culture for just a minute. If you get this one wrong, I'm going to be very disappointed. Naren, what's my favorite movie?
Your
Oh,
favorite Top Gun?
oh,
Top
oh,
Gun?
Naren, that one came out in the 1980s. Maverick, Top Gun Maverick.
Ah, Top Gun Maverick. Okay, I was
Maverick.
close, Gary.
Do they not
I
have
meant
movies like
Maverick.
Canada? Uh, are you still sitting around at home with COVID restrictions and not going to the movie? Get out more often, Darren. No, it's Maverick. Top Gun Maverick. You had it right. I know what you
Yeah,
meant.
I did see it twice. It's an amazing movie. It's like, yeah, it's
Well,
like
I've
one of
seen
the
it 4 times now.
best.
And I've seen it before. I took it. My son-in-laws. I have two son-in-laws, and myself and my son-in-laws went to see it together. It was awesome. And then my daughter Callie wanted to see. Was visiting, and she wanted to see it, and I took her. And then I've seen it twice myself, and I know exactly what's going to happen. But I would go a fifth time. Hey, if we have any local listeners in Phoenix and you want to go to Top Gun Maverick, call me. I'll be happy to accompany you. I'll buy the tickets. Let's go together. But it's like watching Top Gun Maverick again. It's like I know what's coming, but it's still great.
Yes.
The same thing when I do these meetings with our clients. It's like I know what's going to happen. First of all, I have a sneak preview on the data. I literally do have a sneak preview on the data because we collect that data. We're data hounds on this. Um, but it's so reassuring to hear it from clients to say, "Man, I lost fewer than I thought." It's so cool.